regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for January 19, 2012. Order at 8:05 p.m. On roll call, Councilmembers Castiglia.
Here.
Coletti.
Here.
Conley.
Here.
Kowinski.
Here.
Monsino.
Here.
Work. Here. Mayor Moore.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please stand for a prayer and flag salute? Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting with we trust your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant them in a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires the minutes of each meeting is stated by the presiding officer. And it will be advised that the requirements of this meeting have been met by publishing an annual notice in the regular packets act, the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the borough clerk as well as in public places within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 2012.
Mayor, this evening, under the approval of minutes, we have a regular meeting of January 5th, 2012, the executive session of January 5th, 2012, and the executive session of January 12th, 2012.
May I have a motion for all three?
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, second, Mr. Work. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So ordered. Gentlemen, before we go on to the resolutions, we have a distinguished guest in our audience, our new Congressman, Mr. Bill Pascrell. Mr. Pascrell, do you want to address the council, or are you here to just observe of this council in action?
You asked a politician that question.
Is there a white line that takes you to the microphone? Or are you
Good evening, everyone.
Before I allow, as the mayor and presiding officer, Congressman Pascrell to speak, I'd like to welcome you back.
Thank you.
To Elmwood Park, a good friend of ours. You hang around long enough, you go around long enough, and just for everyone here and anybody watching on TV, Congressman Pascrell was our assemblyman for many years, about 20 years ago, wasn't it?
Close to it. No, 17, 18.
When they had the last census, he was with us with Senator Frank Graves and
That's right.
And John Chicenti. So
that's
welcome back. Always a good friend.
I feel, Mr. Mayor and honorable council people, and Keith Kazmar, congratulations to you. I feel that I haven't left because when I came to Elmwood Park was put into my district, we came over here like gangbusters because we wanted everybody to know, it didn't matter what your political persuasion was, that we were here to help. And many of the people who live in your town come and talk to our caseworkers, and I hope everyone's been treated perfectly like everybody should be treated. Didn't matter where you live, that's our job. It doesn't matter what your problem is. As you know, we've sat with members of the council, sat with members of the administration on some problems, even though, quote unquote, it wasn't in my district at the time. That's immaterial. I want everybody here to know that as close as I am to the police and fire, as close as I am to the EMTs in the state and the nation, because of the record, I'm not here to talk about my record. I want you to know I will be as close to the members on the board, to the mayor, to your staff, and also to all the people who live in this community. That's the most important thing to me. That's why we get a paycheck. Not to deal with the most esoteric problems in the world, because everybody's going to solve the world's problems, you know that, well, particularly if you're a congressman. But to try to help people who need help. And we all go through tough times. And so I'm here to tell you, count on me. I'm not a sunshine friend. I'm not only going to be here in the good times, I think my record will point that out. And I truly want to be helpful. So God bless you. Thank you. I brought my wife of 48 years. Stand up, Elsie. This is my wife, Elsie. People get married 48 weeks nowadays. We got married 48 years. She's put up with me, Mayor, for 48 years. Well, aren't you proud of that, dear? I want you to know.
I think she's in a position now to collect a Purple Heart.
That's true. That is true. That is true. So God bless you. Thank you. I'm sorry for the interruption. I want you to know I'm here,
Thank
and I'm
you.
going to stay here. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kennedy.
Mayor, this evening under the consent agenda resolutions, we have R4612, payment of bills, R4712, confirmation of checks, R4812, confirmation of payroll, R4912, refund overpayment due to a tax appeal, New Jersey Tax Court, 251 Walnut Drive Associates, R5012, refund overpayment due to appeal to New Jersey Tax Court, Penn Color, Resolution 51-12, refund overpayment due to tax appeal, New Jersey Tax Court, Penn Color, Resolution 52-12, agreement for bond counsel with Rogal McCarthy LLC. Resolution 53-12, agreement for municipal auditor, Clergyman C. and Higgins LLP. Resolution 54-12, authorization and execution of the Fiber Technology Networks LLC. Resolution 55-12, authorize sick and vacation days for full-time crossing guards. Resolution 56-12, appoint Allison Ray Carassi for Recreation Department after school care. Resolution 57-12, reappoint Municipal Alliance Program Coordinator Barbara Despodo. Resolution 58-12, park agreement for public health services. And Resolution 59-12, salary adjustment for tax assessor Kevin Esposito.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr.
If I
Ware.
may, Mayor,
Let me get a second, then you can ask questions. Second,
Second?
Mr. Conlon. Any discussion?
yes, on R49-12, I'd like to abstain, and that's due to the reason that at one time, going back a few years, I had a close business relationship with this company, and I think it's prudent that I abstain.
Very good.
Mayor, I think we have to pull that for a separate vote, because I have to abstain on two.
We have to do
Pull
that.
that, one resolution for a separate vote. I have to abstain on it also.
Well, you can abstain on it, and we'll just,
Note it, and then go through.
let's take that out, we'll vote separately. May I have a motion to take out the R49-12 from the consent calendar? Moved by Mr. Boncino, seconded by Mr. Castiglia. Any discussion, all in favor? Opposed, so ordered. Now may I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Okay, it's another, do I have a comment, do we need another consent again, to go through them again?
Well, let me get a motion on the consent
Okay.
agenda and
So
second.
moved.
Moved by Mr. Conboy, second?
Second.
By Mr. Work, any discussion?
Okay, yes, Mayor, I have some concerns about number 5612, not regarding the individual that we're looking to appoint, but more in the sense that after last week's work meeting, I've had an opportunity to go back and read our recreation ordinance and so forth, and I know we are going to probably disagree on some of this, as well as the board of recreation appointments, but I don't believe that the state statute that was presented to us last week, as well as our own ordinances, match up and compare. And I think that until we can have a chance to get back at a work meeting to examine our current ordinance, to try and get these to match up, I think there's also, I don't know if I should just continue here and talk about the other appointments that are coming up. It goes against historically what we've done, but I think there could be some issues, even though I understand that the state statute says otherwise. So, and I also believe there's some issues with term expiration. So, according to the ordinance, it looks like the rec department makes these hires and makes these appointments as far as employees go, and salaries and so forth.
Mr. Attorney, you have any comment?
Coincidentally, haven't had this statute.
Just, you're talking about just the 55-12, right? 56.
This is, through you, Mayor, this is an employee of the Recreation Department, a part-time employee that'll work the after-school program, just for
This is
clarification.
just a part-time employee.
Well, I know, but are we hiring a person?
Yes.
Right. According to the ordinance, unless I'm reading it wrong, I mean, there's a lot of may, shall, this and that, but it looks like the recreation ordinance, they get to decide the employment of the people at the recreation and sets wages and salaries and hirements and Am I misunderstanding that?
I have the state statute, I don't have.
I'm talking about our ordinance.
I don't have that.
Right.
Okay.
You want to pull it? Or do you want to go along with it?
Through you, Mayor, it's certainly the council's prerogative to pull this agenda item. However, in speaking with the Recreation Director, and I believe the reason for the recommendation tonight, historically, the council has voted on these appointments. We are anticipating a larger enrollment in the after-school program starting February 1st. We won't have another meeting until February 2nd. I don't know if that bears on the council's decision tonight, but I just wanted to state that for the record.
Right. And that, you hit a very, I understand, I mentioned at the work meeting, we anticipate that the aftercare is going to go up with new parents signing on at the end of their, after they paid for the month of January. The key word you used, Mr. Clerk, was historically, and we have done that, as well as appointments to the Recreation Board. And I also think that that is all plays into our ordinance as well. That's why I have no problem if, I don't want to hold up and not have ample employees for that, but I also think that all these other things regarding the 2 appointments that are coming up on the reports, that should all be looked at because of the fact it's not lining up with our ordinance. Because it looks like from the ordinance that the Recreation Board at the end of the day is really an autonomous board. And we've obviously historically made infringements on that ordinance. So I'm just trying to keep apples to apples and oranges to oranges.
You want to pull it?
I guess at this point, regarding this appointment, that would only be handcuffing Ms. Puglisi, no.
Any other comments on the consent agenda? Call the roll, please.
Okay, the consent agenda includes resolution 46-12 and resolution 59-12, with the exception of resolution 49-12, which will be voted on as a separate matter. On roll call, Councilmembers Castilla,
Yes.
Galletti,
Yes.
Conwood,
Yes.
Chouinski,
Yes.
Monsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Resolution 49-12, refund overpayment due to tax appeal court judgment. Whereas Frank Santoro, tax collector, has advised that 251 Walnut Drive Associates, owner of block 1107, lot 24, was granted a reduction of the assessments from New Jersey Tax Court for the year 2010. Whereas taxes were paid in full on this property. And whereas this was successful appeal, resulted in tax overpayment in the amount of $4,828.76 for 2010. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Menlo Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that the approval of the grant to issue a check in the amount of $4,828.76 payable to Michael A. Schneck, Esquire, lot 1107, lot 24, attorney for 251 Walnut Drive Associates, 2010, $4,828.76.
Any discussion, vote, motion please?
Second?
Mr. Monsino, Mr. Conroy, any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Castilla,
Yes.
Galletti,
Abstain?
Conwood,
Yes.
Chouinski,
Abstain.
Monsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. To the Mayor and Council, I hereby nominate with your advice and consent appoint Joseph G. Benamini to the Board of Adjustment, alternate 2, for a period of 1 year, term ending December 31st, 2012. Respectfully submitted, Richard A. Moll. Resolution 60-12, appointment of the Board of Adjustment, alternate member 2. Be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Menlo Park that the appointment of Joseph G. Benamini to the Board of Adjustment, alternate number 2, for a period of 1 year, term ending December 31st, 2012, be and the same is hereby confirmed. Be it further resolved that Resolution 39-12, relative to the original appointment of this individual, is hereby rescinded. Mayor, if I may, before the motion is made, just clarify to the council that there was an error with this gentleman's name on the original resolution, as was prepared by my office. This is to clarify that it is in fact Joseph G. Benamini, who is the father of the individual where the name was confused.
May I have a motion please?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Work, Mr. Conroy, discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Castilla,
Yes.
Galletti,
Yes.
Conwood,
Yes.
Chouinski,
Yes.
Monsino,
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion carries. To the members of the council, I hereby nominate, with your advice and consent, appoint Joseph Suplicki to the library board for a period of 5 years, term ending December 31st, 2016. Respectfully submitted, Richard A. Mollenbeck. Resolution 61-12, appointment of library board member. Be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Menlo Park that the appointment of Joseph Suplicki to the library board for a period of 5 years, term ending December 31st, 2016, be and the same is hereby confirmed.
Motion please?
So moved.
Mr. Castillo, second. Mr. Work, discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Castilla.
I have discussion on this. I don't think we can vote on this because the law we just got in 2001, 10 I think it was, or 2001 that he gave us at the last work meeting, had parameters for this very thing. And if you look further, right, of course, Brian's attention today, no two rec commissioners can expire, more than two can expire on the same.
This is a lot of that.
I'm sorry, I thought this was the, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay, any discussion? Call over.
On roll call, Councilmembers Castiglione?
Yes.
Coletti?
Yes.
Tomboy?
Yes.
Kowinski?
Yes.
Alcino?
Yes.
Work.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, that concludes the resolutions for this evening.
Committee reports, Mr. Coletti?
This week, Mr. Kaminsky and I met with our administrator, CFO, and the mayor to discuss DPW contracts, and that is a work in progress. Today, Mr. Kaminsky and I met with our building inspector, town administrator, town hired engineer, and the administration of the school district to survey the Gilbert Avenue schools, suspect of water entry and structural problems, and that's also a work in progress. And I'm looking forward to the next school board meeting on January 24th as the liaison to the school board. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr.
I attended the JIF meeting on Wednesday, which was yesterday. Hackensack officially joined the JIF. They are now part of that whole community. To date, from 1986, the JIF has saved towns over $27 million to this current date. Our lost time accident frequency rate went up per 100, about 0.1%, which was not bad for the year. Overall, they're going to continue. They're going to have a safety breakfast on the 28th for all the fund commissioners and anybody else in town who wishes to attend at the Fiesta. The accident report for this past month, all workers' comp claims are down, and I attribute that to the weather. So I sit on the claims committee for the workers' comp for the JIF, and this is the lowest month we've had since I can remember. The fire department, Fournier Crescent truck problem still remains a problem for the trucks that get through on Fournier Crescent. And for the public who doesn't know, as we speak, the fire department is mapping an area where we can make one side of that street no parking. It will be open to the residents when we get to the final distance to resolve it. But they are having a problem just getting the truck down the street. Even as slow as the last one of the fires they had there recently, they told me, even as slow as they went, they still took out 2 parked cars. No matter what they do, they couldn't get down there. And the council, and with the cooperation of the fire department, is looking at it this time. There's something else. Last night I attended the county meeting. They're still trying to hold their budget line, but it's going to go up, looks like about $12 a year. And they're still moving ahead on the flood control ordinances and laws that they have in effect for the town. They're lobbying with the congressmen on the federal and state level. And they have a good committee together right now to bring all the towns together to try and control the flooding in the county. And that's about it. But Mayor, one thing I want to say on this, I jumped the gun there a little before, on this recreation appointment, this last one here. And after you handed us that law, the state statute that changed in 2001 regarding the appointments. And I researched a little bit more, and it seems that, especially on these particular appointments, no 2 commissioners can, more than 2 commissioners can terminate on the same year. We have presently 4 who can terminate on the same year.
Who's changing that?
Well, to vote on it would be ludicrous because we should change that. We should put this in table it and change it now, change the ordinance now, see where it's screwed up, that actually where we have to reappoint some of these members actually to make this coincide with the state statute that it stands. And Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, the state statute does say no more than 2 on that year.
Well, it says the initial term should be staggered,
Correct.
and by the way that would have to be done, there could be no more than 2 that come up at the same time.
But right now, do we have 3 or 4? Did you look at it?
Yes, but Mr. Burks, my appointment is going to be up on the 16th, and there's no one else up on the 16th.
No, this is for the year. By appointing the ones you have now, you have 4 in there now that have to be redone. Mr. Campbell, you can take the unfinished seat of Mrs. Diversey,
Right.
which is due in 2013.
Right.
So it'd be prudent to avoid those 2 problems and say, let's look and see how we can stagger this now. I think
We can stagger right now,
discuss
just make his appointment up at the end of 2013, 1-year appointment, and that'll leave.
No, only before
No,
2013.
then we'll leave him off on this appointment.
But do you still have 3?
No.
Yes, you do, Mayor.
2016.
I just defer to the council, you guys want to, I think it needs a little further discussion just between them.
Okay.
Whatever you guys want to do.
Mr. Wirt?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to address the news rumor going around town that our police department is being replaced by the Bergen County Police Department. First, there was a meeting originally set up for January 26th, but to this day it's been postponed to a later date. Second, I'm not sure why we were with Bergen County Police Department, but since Kathy Donovan had a study to look into savings to replace or combine the Bergen County Police Department with the Bergen County Sheriff's Department, I'm not sure we want to meet with the department that may not be there in a couple of years down the road. And of course, you did the study, and additional substantial savings, which is being questioned by the Divisional Chief of the Bergen County Police Department. Not sure we want to get involved with that. Third, we are currently negotiating the contract with the Owner Park DDA right now. And until that's settled, we really don't have any cost to compare with the Bergen County Police Department. So we don't know what our costs, what our police is going to cost us in the future. Fourth, we have a number of police officers that retired. Of course, it was a big payout, but in the year 2013, we're going to save $1 million for salaries. This will give the mayor and council flexibility. Maybe add 1 or 2 officers and a dispatcher, and we'd still be saving $100,000 in total salaries for the police department. And these 2 new officers will be the patrolmen, which will match the amount of patrolmen that we had in 2011. Fifth, the Owner Park Police Department is one of the highest ranked police departments in the state of New Jersey. For removal and arrest of drivers operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Not sure we can put a cost on the lives that saved down the road. And sixth, we had a number of Owner Park Police Department officers that accepted their promotions while delaying the raise that comes with the promotions up to a year to reduce the cost for the taxpayers discount. So, like I said, I mean, there is going to be a meeting with Bergen County Police Department. It's exploratory only, but a lot of these statements I made, I'm not sure you should go that route. My next thing is the Owner Park Health Department will be continuing to offer free adult consultation and child health clinics to the residents of Owner Park. The next adult consultation clinic for the year will be held on January 17th, Tuesday morning. February 21st, Tuesday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the private clinic room. The next child health clinics, which includes free immunizations, will be held on February 2nd, Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and from February 6th, which is a Monday, from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. The child health clinics are by appointment only, so please call the Owner Park before the health to make an appointment. Number is 201-796-1457, extension 604 to set up your appointment. And just to give you an idea, the last child health clinic had 25 children show up for the free clinic. So there are people out there taking advantage of it. Also, the Owner Park is also looking into offering free vaccines again. As soon as I get the information on that, I will be back to pass on information on our team. And just a reminder, all dog and cat licenses are renewable to the month of January. So you can pick the application up at the Board of Health, or if you got it in the mail, please return it as soon as possible. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Castiglia, Council?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, as far as borough planning goes, I mentioned in the past there are two new businesses coming into town. The last 2 were pet grooming stores going to be opening up where the insurance agency used to be in front of St. Leo's on Market Street. That's going to be pet grooming, so it'll be dogs and cats, mostly you drop off and pick up. So it should be causing a big parking traffic problem. Also, there's going to be a legal document assistant. This guy helps you make out your wills and stuff like that. He'll be opening up on 103 Broadway. Used to be a lingerie shop there, everybody remembers that. That's going to be legal documents. Also, DPW. We're still out picking up Christmas trees, even though the date has passed already. People are still putting them out, so the trucks are still out picking them up along with a lot of branches that people, I gotta excuse my voice a little bit. People are still pulling out a lot of branches, so the trucks are out there picking up Christmas trees and branches at the same time. The sweeper's out just about every day now, but we need to remember that as winter closes in and that weather comes in, you're not gonna see him out there every day. He's gonna be maybe once a week, twice a week, weather permitting. Potholes, that happens all winter. Potholes just open up. They repaired quite a few already, and they'll be continuing to do that. Our patch supplier had some problems with his equipment, but the DPW has been managing to keep up with it. Buildings and grounds, we've had 2 DPW workers over at the rec building helping out, almost full time for about the last 3 weeks. They've been changing some doors and lights. I think they were helping out changing some light bulbs. Also, there's other tasks. They've been there for a while. And in case anybody knows, we have a new electrical service coming into this building. It's almost ready to be fired up. I don't know if that's a good term. But we're just waiting for public service to come in and make the connection for us. And one other thing, me and the mayor will be attending community development meeting on February 1st. It's the first meeting of the year. It's just a reorganization. That's where we go to try to get some of that grant money. And this year it's going to be a little tighter than normal, but we'll do thank you, Thomas. We'll do the best we can on it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Conboy?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things, recreation, on the recreation front, hopefully maybe next week in the community news, they'll show some of the pictures of the photographers down there. This past week, they had their open ceremonies, the reopening of the weight room. It looks fantastic. A lot of great new weight equipment's in there. The seniors are loving it. Believe it or not, they do work out. And they're not just on the treadmill, and they're having a lot of fun with a lot of the equipment. The rec director is getting a lot of positive feedback, and hopefully membership will pick up as well with all this new equipment. The whole room has been remodeled. So a lot of credit to Ms. Puglisi and her staff. They did a lot of work themselves, and they did a wonderful job. So that's going on down at the rec center. I know the mayor and maybe some other councilmen went down last week when they had the open house. Something else that's new this year at the recreation, in the month of February, from February 20th through the 24th, we're going to be having our first President's Week vacation camp for all those parents here in town who don't have any other care for their children. If they can't get off that week, that's always a tough time for parents. You're scrambling to get your little ones off to grandma's or somebody else, or the next door neighbor. You have to line up all that babysitting. This will be the first time we're doing it. As you recall, I announced on here we did one during Christmas. It was a big hit, very big success. It was a tribute to the snowman. This one is a President's Week, so the theme is President's Week. It's going to have movies, crafts, story time, and so much more. It's $100 for the week, 8:30 in the morning for the week, 8:30 in the morning till 6. We'll be using our wonderful bus that we purchased to help pick up the children. They'll all be free, and there'll be plenty of activities and so forth. So that's a great thing to come on out. Another great thing to take advantage of. The camera guy got that. Basketball season's in full swing. Anyone gets a chance, like I said before, I want to keep beating it up, but try to catch a basketball game. The kids have a lot of fun down there, and you really got to check out that street hockey, that floor hockey. That's something else. So also want to give a little update. This past Tuesday was a Chamber of Commerce meeting. One of the members is here in the audience, the president of the chamber. I want to congratulate them. They are now almost, I believe, somewhere in mid-40 range on membership. That is a lot more than they ever had in its heyday. So I want to congratulate all the members who have joined and all the new potential members looking to get on. They're going to be having some social events coming up, business card exchange and so forth. Dates to be provided later. If you go to our website, it kicks it out to their website, so you can find a lot of that information out that's going on there. Also at that meeting, some things that had come up, they are going to be also, their board is going to start appointing liaisons to different things here in town. Planning board, zoning, mayor and council, already there's 3 members to that. So we'll see a lot more of the members, they want to get more involved and do more things that even with the recreation and partner up. So I think it's a great thing for Elmwood Park. So remember our businesses. Something I'm going to bring up in next week's work meeting, but I'd just like to announce here is that I know that we've been discussing this whole issue about widening Market Street and the Boulevard, and that's been very, it's taking a lot longer than we even hoped. That has to do with a lot of easement issues and so forth, and our borough clerk is trying very, well, our clerk and our attorney both are furiously trying to find out who owns a piece of property here and there, and I know our borough attorney's been keeping us up to date and our engineer, but one issue that keeps coming up, I mean, even though I was very vocal about this at the time, TD North, we really need to find a place for their clock, especially if it's not going to go at that intersection. So just something that we can talk about next week. That clock they bought, they donated that clock, and it's been kind of sitting long in storage. So I know at the meeting they asked if the town could start looking to find a new home for it. So anyway, on that front. I just want to take a quick moment to talk about, since I've sat on this council and been coming to meetings, I've watched this mayor and council, as well as past mayor and councils, appoint people to the recreation board. I'm also a liaison to recreation. This year, there was no discussion on the appointments, on who would go in and who's not going in and so forth. Even the two people that are being appointed tonight under the mayor's report, are all good people. But one member, to me, I think kind of deserved a longer term. He's been there at the recreation a long time. He knows all the issues and he's ready to get up and running. And he's always out there for the safety of the children. He is always out examining our fields and bringing back details for things for our children on the fields as well as our residents. And I'm just really disappointed. As I mentioned earlier, the clerk used a very good word, historically. Historically, the mayor and council has always put the people on there. There's always been some dialect. Last week, as you know, we tabled it 2 weeks ago. Last week at the work meeting, when I thought we would discuss a little bit more, I'm willing to respect everyone's opinion on these things, but then we were hit with this state statute that apparently we were never adhering to. And I know there's tons of resolutions I can go pull out that show how we appointed these people in the past. So I just want to voice my concern that I've just been disappointed it didn't go this way. We didn't have more involvement. And, the statute says the mayor gets to pick them and so forth. I will be asking the Rec Commission to thoroughly go through their ordinance, to look at it, because I do think there is some issues there that we've been overlooking for years that they may want to know. The chairman of the Recreation is here at the meeting here tonight, and I've already spoken to him about that as well. So, I guess on another issue, I wasn't going to touch this one, but since Councilman Work brought it up, regarding the county police, I just want to say this much. I'm not saying here tonight that I'm for it, nor am I saying I'm against it. I'm just a councilman who wants to listen. I've heard more from people out in the street about what's happened at this meeting, and I haven't even seen a proposal. I am going to share with you this, though. Several months back, when the chief came in and told us that there's a real reality that he would go, and then that other officer would follow, and follow due to what's happening at the state level, which we have no control over. At that meeting, we asked a lot of ideas of the chief. Hey, you've been there, you started there, you were patrolling there and so forth. What are your, let's hear, I always like to hear what the outgoing guy has to say, because in this case, he's really going out due to retirement, not going out in any other kind of, other reason for that. And at that meeting, he threw out many ideas. Again, not on my watch, a deputy chief was created and so forth. And even he's gone. So, of course, the whole rank has moved down on where we go to find the next person to fill the slot. But I guess at the end, to wrap it up, at that meeting, many options were discussed, and there's a lot on the table. We already know, I agree with every fact that Councilman Work said here about our police force, but at the same time, we're just here evaluating what's the best course of action to take. And at the end of the day, we're gonna go the best course of the action based on what we think is best for the community and what the people of the community want. Clearly, the people of the community spoke loud and clearly last month when they defeated the school referendum 3-1. And as I said to you before, I shared at meetings here, taxes continue to be the only one thing on everyone's mind. The League of Municipalities did a study on that, and they came out on TV and said that continues to be the #1 thing. But at that meeting, our chief said to us, well, guys, I would look at the county, I would look at neighboring towns, maybe sharing the chief, maybe hiring a director of operations, all kinds of options. And as I say this to you all, please, just absorb it in that these are just all things that were thrown out onto the table. And I think we've done a really good job getting to the right decision. There was a lot of friction when we tried to change the building department. Today it's running more efficient than ever before, and it's already gotten letters of accreditation from the state and the local level on what we're doing here with our building. There was a lot of pushback on the health department. That's been nothing but a charm, and it's working so well we're looking at another town to maybe add to the mix. And there was a lot of pushback and resistance to all that. Again, please, there's a lot of officers here, the president of the PBA is here. I am not sitting here tonight telling you that I'm for it nor against it. We haven't even had a meeting yet, folks. We haven't even seen a proposal. I know that even the entire governing body, with the exclusion of Councilman Coletti, all voted unanimously to at least hear their proposal. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Monsino?
Yes,
Mr.
Mayor.
I know.
Councilman Worthy and Councilman Conboy spent a good amount of time talking on police matters, but I have just a couple of points to make.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry. The first, you may have received a reverse 911 call yesterday evening around 6 p.m. Relative to, and you may have seen some articles in the paper or online about a rash of burglaries. There were 3 instances in our borough. They're not limited to our borough, they're happening all over North Jersey. But I just wanted to restate it here for the public. Essentially, there are individuals posing as utility workers, and they're attempting to gain access into a residence under the impression of having to do an inspection or so forth. I imagine they may be preying on senior citizens to a larger extent. Once inside the home, another individual claiming to be a supervisor distracts the resident while the first imposter goes through the residence looking for valuables and whatnot. Just my point, and Captain Johnson's point, is for the residents to be vigilant. If you see any suspicious vehicles or individuals in your neighborhood, if somebody is at your door claiming to be a utility worker and it's questionable, do not hesitate to contact the police department. After all, I think I mentioned that at previous meetings, our residents are an extension of our force, and just be careful. Relative to the merger, a lot was said about it. I just have a couple of comments. The first is that there was an article in Community News that I saw this morning, and I thought quite entertaining was the first paragraph, and it said, could there be a merger of the borough's police department with the county? That question may be answered at the next town council meeting. I find that perplexing to me. I don't know where Mr. Leibowitz got that information from, but it just shows the level of immaturity that somebody could really think that a decision of that magnitude could be made at one meeting on a Thursday night in January or February. If they really think that the folks up here would do that and can do that, it's just beyond belief that could be there. I'm glad that Mr. Casmar clarified it. We are going to meet with the county. We pushed back the meeting to February. Our intent is to hear their proposal. With the police department budget being about 20% of our borough municipality budget, we would be remiss if we did not examine it and look for what's the best for Elmwood Park. As Councilman Conboy mentioned, we're looking at a number of different options. We could have this meeting, and we could take the exit ramp after that meeting, not liking what we hear. We may like something we hear, and we may want to pursue it, but that would take a number of meetings and discussions with various stakeholders, the police included in town, in terms of the pluses and minuses of moving in that direction. And ultimately, I would like, and I'm sure the whole council would like to hear from the residents if we ever went truly down that path in a very serious attempt to do a merger of that magnitude. So I wanted to add a little perspective to it because it seems to have been blown out of proportion in this week or so since we had our retirements downstairs in the police department. What I do want to also say is that the council also made a decision on leadership in the police department. And last Friday I met with Captain Johnson for about 2 hours. And we had a very good discussion on the police department and the direction he would like to take the police department. We have a path to implement the new table of organization that we enacted a little over a year ago. And with that, we'll start deciding specific actions that we want to take to complement our force. And we'll make those decisions as we move forward in time. Beyond that, the most important thing we have to do is to finalize the contract with the PBA. And in email conversation with Truman Myers, and I'm really looking forward to getting some dates. I think Mr. Kasloff's looking forward to getting some dates so we can get back to the table in the back room and try and hammer out that contract. So I think those are our top two priorities in 2012, and we'll continue to work with the department downstairs. One final note regarding the library. Last public meeting, I told you that we were going to meet with the library to discuss developing their strategic plans for the library, a 3 to 5 year plan. I was hoping to have that meeting about a week ago. Unfortunately, the library board didn't see a way to come up with a date that they can meet with us. It's unfortunate because I extended the invitation to meet with those members of the library board on December 9th or December 10th, and it's been over a month. You know, we can make a decision in a day to try and move in a positive direction, and there's some foot dragging going down on the library board that's not, I really can't understand it. And I guess it adds some perspective to what's going on. The library has over $1 million in surplus in their budget. They're trying to develop a plan to do repairs to the library, and the council simply asked that we could collaborate with the council, look at what's absolutely needed to do down there at the library, and then make some decisions on what's needed and what's wanted, and try and put the best project or plan forward for the borough. And perhaps, working together, take some of that excess of $1 million and put it back into the residents as tax relief. But I don't think that the library board sees that as their top priority. I'm hoping that that'll change over the next week so we can get back to doing the right business for the town. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Giblin.
I have no report.
Mr. Giblin doesn't have a report at this point, but I do want to congratulate and thank Mr. Giblin. He handed us at the last work meeting a substantial report for the year 2011, indicating the cases that he's been involved in with the local borough and people who are suing us, all the tax appeals that have come in, and I want to personally thank you and congratulate you on a job well done for 2011. And Mr. Giblin is on a fixed salary. He doesn't get paid by cases, as some other communities have an attorney that ends up with $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year. Okay? He does a good job, and in some cases we browbeat him, but he saved us thousands and thousands of dollars along with our tax assessor on some of these tax appeals that have come in. Number one, I think in relation to Mr. Conboy, I think when the whole situation is settled with the Market Street and the Boulevard intersection, I think the clock is going to go there. But it can be worked out again. If you want to put it someplace else, the council can decide that, but I thought that was where it was finally going to be put up. The situation with the county police department, let me just say that in 2013, as Mr. Work has, Councilman Work has indicated, we'll be saving over $1 million. What happened with us, and I think people don't understand this, is that we had 4 people who were going to retire, and in the last week, 2 or 3, we had other people telling us they may retire, and then we had the chief, the deputy chief, and the captain retire. That's where all the big money went. And the money to pay out for these people were put on to the board because of binding arbitration that has been in existence for years. And unfortunately, we don't have any control over that. The situation is with Mr. Boncino and the council, we created a new table of organization so that the police deputy chief is out and he will not be reappointed because it's not on the ordinance. We have 2 captains, which are still in the ordinance. We have 2 lieutenants. It was 4. We're going to limit it to 2. We have 6 sergeants, going to be limited to 4. That will all save us about $700,000 there without even talking about health benefits. And we have a limit of a maximum of 40 patrolmen. That maximum doesn't mean we want to go up there. Presently we have 33. we can decide how many we want to go up to 40. So it could be a substantial savings for us. And we're working on the PPA contract now. I don't want to get into that at this point. But if people think that, and let me get political. Let me get political. These new appointments, the deputy chief, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, were done by a previous administration, which I vetoed. And it was passed anyway. We had appointments of officers done in the evening, December 31st at 7 o'clock. New Year's Eve. They passed it. And Mr. Coletti was on the council at that time. He wouldn't come. Mr. Chirpek was on that council, 2 Republicans. They wouldn't come. They passed it anyway. Were we getting the blame for all this salary that we have to pay out? Yes, we're getting the blame. We didn't do it. I vetoed some of them. Gladly. They overrode the veto and they're there. At one time we had 45 police officers. Now we're down to 40. We're going to be down, oh no, now we're down to 33.
33.
When I got to be mayor, it was 33. Now we're down there. If the police department and the new police chief indicates that he needs 1 or 2 more people for whatever purpose, that could be looked into. If he thinks we can handle the 33, that's fine. But this council should be praised and complimented for keeping the personnel as the table of organization was 30, 40 years, more than that. It was that organization when I got to be mayor. And they decided to add it all. And everybody got a raise. So there's going to be substantial savings there. Just a correction, a minor correction to Mr. Boncino. It's not a merger with the police department. They take it over. The county would take over our police department. We would have no police department. We'd be a county police department. And the situation there is, and I think this, excuse me, this has to be discussed with us while we're talking to the county, if that's what the council wants, or before. The freeholders haven't decided what's going to be the lead agency in the county. Is it going to be the sheriff, or is it going to be the county police? They have a document that costs $600,000 to produce, saying it might be the sheriff, or it should be the sheriff. The county has to make up their mind on it. If it's going to be the sheriff, what are we talking to the county police for? So that has to be discussed. There are a lot of things that have to be discussed. And also, there are some communities in Bergen County that have 10 police officers or less, and I don't know why they aren't jumping on this whole thing about going with the county police before we are. So that's something that has to be indicated. Secondly, the violations department, we have met with an outside company who will do all the research and search for people who haven't paid for their parking tickets or any other kind of tickets they've gotten in the violations department. I hope that this will be done within the next week or two, where we will hire this firm. They will go out and track these people down. They will get paid beyond, what is it, 15%, Mr. Caswell? 20%. Beyond what they owe. We will not lose any money. If you have a ticket in this audience, if you have a ticket and you haven't paid, and this firm finds you, you will pay for your ticket, and then you'll pay 20% more to the people who found it. And we have about close to $300,000 sitting out there. If we collect it, that's what we'll bring in. And then we'll let everybody know after that, if they get a ticket and they don't pay it, this is what they're going to pay. You might as well pay your ticket, and you save 20%. So that's coming up very, very soon. And I'm pleased we're doing that. We've been researching that. It's a new law, and we thank the legislation for doing that. Mr. Conway mentioned about the recreation center. Please, anybody watching this, I don't see anybody here who, there may be a couple of people here, who are senior citizens and want to do some exercising. Friday at the rec center, they must have been, yeah, we can all go. At the rec center, there were close to 75, 100 people, Mr. Chorley?
Yes, sir, ma'am.
Okay, and these seniors are out there exercising. We've seen some things in the community news about Fairlawn, they have an exercise class. We do too. We do too. It's a big group. And they enjoy it. Now we have all this exercise equipment and they'll enjoy it even more. So it's something, if you're watching this and you need exercise and you're a little older and you want to do some exercise there with a trainer out in front, please join me.
Or just a little overweight too, man.
Excuse me?
Or just a little overweight. Just a little.
Just a little.
Us big, strong, muscular guys.
Okay, at this time, I would like to appoint my alternate to the library board. I think all of you have his resume. I just spoke to him over the weekend. His name is Robert Manginelli, will be my alternate. He is a teacher, principal, and superintendent of a school, and I found out that it's a school in Mayor Kazmark's Woodland Park, or was. He's retired now, so I'd like to appoint him as my alternate. And I would also like to appoint Robert Burke to the Board of Recreation Board, whose term ended in 2016, and appoint Bob Calabro to the unexpired term of character person. Okay? That's my report. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard at this time? Thank you. You can be seated.
Estelle Mandela, 36 Franklin Street. Mayor, I just want to make a comment on something that was said at the last public meeting that I found really uncomfortable to sit and listen to, and it wasn't you, but the new member of the council, when you were appointing committees, and there were a few left that hadn't been appointed, and you were appointing them, a comment was made that former Councilman Caramagna had a committee that hadn't been assigned yet, and so you assigned it to Mr. Coletti. And he made a comment that was, you mean Mr. Caramagna had committees? And he laughed. And I know everybody laughed, but I think that it was very disrespectful to Councilman Caramagna, who served on this council for 12 years honorably, and had served on many committees and gave many committee reports. And there could be a difference of opinion, but I think that it was very disrespectful and that he deserves an apology. Thank you, Mayor.
On behalf of the council, even though I wasn't involved, I did see Mr. Caramagna. I'll publicly apologize if he was...
I appreciate that, and I'm sure Mr. Former Councilman Caramagna does, but you're not the one who made the comment, but I thank you for that, Mayor.
Let me just also indicate that Mr. Caramagna, who was a liaison to our Board of Education, was taken off that because the our attorney said since he's on the Board of Education, he shouldn't be on.
Correct.
So he was not removed for any particular reason.
No, I understand that. He's a teacher there. He thought he should be recused or eliminated from that, but it was decided that he could be. That's not what I was talking about.
Okay.
But it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with him serving on any committees during his 12 years. That was disrespectful. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? You need a bigger pad, Mr. Conti. You've been saving up for what, a year now?
It's been about a year, Mayor. Hi, Steve Conti, 274 Market Street. I got to reintroduce myself. Hi, Bob. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I got a couple of
How about
questions.
Mr. Boncino and myself? Do we get
Oh,
any
yes, Mr.
congratulations?
Boncino. I haven't seen you in a while. Mr. Ward, say it. Couple of questions. I'll start off with the easy ones. English Avenue Park. Tom, how's that going?
Very good, Steve. As I've told you before, we have already done a lot of new cleanup down there. We've got new playground equipment down there. We're waiting for our next installment we went for more open space. We're getting about another $50,000. We're going to be clearing some more of the debris down that end, and to help keep enlarging the fields. And as soon as the weather breaks, and if this weather continues, we'll be able to start sooner. As long as we don't get any snow, it's been a great winter so far, at least for us in that regard. We're going to be repositioning, having a full-length soccer field there. There's been some new fencing in place, and in the spring, it's gonna look really something special. Or at least by the time, by June, we gotta get some grass growing. But if you've had a chance, Steve, if you hadn't had a chance, you take a little scoop down there, see the playground equipment, it does look nice. And it's just the beginning. So we put, oh geez, I can't think off the top of my head, but the last installment was about 75? Did we get 75? And now we got another 50 coming, so, and we take those, that doesn't come from taxpayer money, folks. We take it from the trust, that's the dollar for dollar. We take it from the rec trust, we go back to the county to get matching funds, and that's how we've done that. It's gonna look real nice, and we still have a lot of work to do there. But we're gonna start looking at the other pieces, the pieces of property that were purchased. Should we sell another piece off? Do we need to put more parking down there? You know, it's gonna, I think, yeah, it's gonna take some more time, but we keep putting more installments into it. It's gonna look nice. You'll be happy.
Well, that clock issue we've been discussing for 10 or 12 years by now, hasn't it been?
Not quite that long.
Close enough.
6, 5.
At least. What's happening with our county, with our passive park?
They're supposed to be in shortly. Okay, I know I was in conversation, I know Mr. Casmark was in conversation with the Parks Director, and I think they're just firming up a contract for people to come in and start cutting those trees down. $90,000 for 2011, and I think it's $325,000 in 2012 to start on the park.
Giving us still use for the fields?
Yes.
Okay. How's about our flooding on North Street in Franklin? Any issues with that been resolved?
They put drainage in there, the builders did that, Pete 10K from Boswell addressed that. We haven't heard anything back there on those two homes.
I see our River Road project is interesting. But the last time I came here, I kept on asking about before that project started,
Which project is that?
Hillman's old property,
Okay.
about any fines that were issued for not maintaining that property for all those years. Just curious, any fines that were given to Mr. Ryan with that property?
I can't answer that. I don't know. You mean clean it up?
Yeah.
We'd have to research.
Oh, just curious, because I kept on bringing it up every time I used to come down, and it's never got answered then, and I guess I'm not getting one now. Is that traffic pattern going to have to change with that project?
No.
We're not adding another light in that area?
If anything else comes up later on, they might be doing something with a light somewhere around Birchwood.
Did the fire department sign off on the water pressure test there?
I think everybody signed off on everything.
Are they going to put an emergency stanchion in the river?
An emergency what?
Pipe stanchion, in case there's a large fire where you have to draw more water.
I think they have all the water pressure they need. They would have gotten approval if they didn't have it.
The water main that was replaced from Garfield down is suffice for the whole
What
project.
size main was it?
I think it's about 16.
Okay.
It's plenty there. I agree with you on the other thing too, but they did finally sign off from what I know.
Steve, if I may, Mayor, I was also, Steve, if it helps, I was talking with one of the chiefs over the weekend, and we were talking about that project, and he was telling me that they did go down to make sure that their trucks could make all the turns, and I believe he told me that they're also going to increase, there's going to be they added 2 more hydrants. Mr. Clerk's shaking his head, so maybe he was at that meeting, but they did go down there, and all their vehicles, every vehicle we have in our arsenal, will be able to make all the radius turns as the other buildings go up and so forth. And I think they're going to, like I said, add 2 more fire hydrants to be able to combat any, God forbid, there's a fire.
What is it? Just to piggyback on that, there was a meeting with the fire department, and I'm always amazed at how knowledgeable they are about the fire apparatus, how much pressure they need, and so forth. And they put their feet to the fire, and the builder down there acquiesced to do whatever they wanted to do.
Okay. What is actually going in there?
There's going to be apartments. Right now, I think it's 101 apartments going in.
Rental apartments?
Yes.
Okay.
As they keep telling me, luxury apartments, and they 2 family, 2 bedroom, it'd be about $2,400 a month.
26.
Well,
Goes down, I said.
no, it doesn't matter. Well, there was 26, it's,
Are there any there that are gonna be low income?
every apartment that goes up has to have a certain amount of low or medium income.
The low income is 65,000.
Okay.
Which is more than some of the people who weren't working.
It's true. You know, as a business owner in town, I don't have that much of an issue with parking, but I know a lot of places do. And I think a lot of times, a lot of businesses get turned down because of not having enough parking. I think that's something that should be looked into by the council.
May I make a correction?
Okay.
On the planning board where I sit, and Mr. Castiglia sits on the planning board, we haven't turned anybody down because
For
of
parking?
Okay. We indicated to them that they have to meet at least the amount of parking of the previous owner.
Okay, depending on the type of business that's going in.
Anything, yes.
Okay.
And no one has been turned down.
Regarding the library funds, yeah, I agree with you on the library funds. I was on the library board for a number of years, same with my father. And if they have that kind of money to do their own repairs and renovations, it's fine. They also have to be conscious of what they actually want to do. You know? Our decorative streetlights here on Market Street, there are quite a number of them that are out. I don't know who's responsible for replacing those bulbs.
We've contacted PSNG on that, and we're
Okay.
running around.
See, they're all working.
They weren't as of last week. Well, the timers are off, or they're offset.
Just before Christmas, I called Dave Hollenbeck from Public Services, and they had a crew out here, and they apologized that two weren't working, they had to take back to the shop. I personally went down the street during Christmas time, they're all working. If there's one or two out, just let me know, we'll get right on. But it's been better than it's ever been.
I'm curious if our police department and our ambulance workers have CO2 monitors on them before they enter a house.
What?
CO2 monitors, carbon monoxide monitors. Some of the towns do. I don't know if ours do. I mean, you could be entering a house on an emergency basis, and you could be overcome by carbon monoxide if the house is full of it. So I'm just curious if that ever came up.
It's never been brought up to us by the fire department.
They do have.
I'm not asking about the fire department, because usually your first responders are either your police
Okay.
or your ambulance.
But they do have steel, I don't know if the police, but I know the fire department doesn't.
Yeah, but they have monitors that you can actually wear.
They have monitors.
Okay,
I don't know
just
if they actually
curious.
walk into the building, but
Do the police have monitors on that?
There you go.
No, we have to look into it.
I disagree with the idea of the county coming in and taking over the police department, personally. Between '09, I guess, and now, we've had what? 9 or 11 officers down? I don't know how they're coming. Well, between '09, 10, and now, you had 7 guys go off this year. In the past 2 years, you had what, 4 more guys?
No, wait a minute.
Yeah?
We had,
You're 12 down.
we were at 45, then we were at 40, and now 7 left, we're 33.
33. I'm curious how they're covering their shifts, because aren't we on still 12-hour shifts, or did we change that?
It's 12-hour shifts.
12-hour shifts.
Hey, Mr. Cobb, just to elaborate, the 40 that we were at, we had detailed meetings with Chief Marcelino, who determined that that was a number that he could work, was manageable, that 40.
Right.
And when you look at these last retirements,
Right.
I think maybe Councilman Work alluded to in his report, the effective, the impact of the patrol was 2 officers. We discussed that with Captain Johnson.
Yes.
So when we move to this new table of organization, the real impact at the patrol levels is 2 officers in numbers.
Once we appoint a new chief in town, whether it's temporary or what, and he comes back and says we need to hire 2, maybe 3, is that on the table?
When the new chief is appointed, okay, he can come back and he can ask us, council, what he thinks of the police department, how many people he thinks he might need. The council will give us some consideration. We're not going up to 45.
They're asking them.
I'm surprised that we went up to 45, and then we made the table of organization at 40. Everybody was happy, so we need 40. What would you go up to 45 for?
regarding sick time. We passed when I was on the library board, you either used it during the course of the year or you lost it. You didn't get paid for it. Regarding vacation time, same thing. I don't understand how sick time became a perk.
Let me interrupt you. We are presently in negotiations with the police department on their contract, and I'm a little leery about saying something but all of that's under discussion.
Okay. But my point is going to be, can't penalize the guys that are on now for the mistakes that were made in the past.
Right.
And that's
penalizing the arbitrator who allowed that to go on and on.
Whoever.
And let me congratulate the PBA presidents who argued that, and the PBA and the arbitrator agreed.
And same things with the buyouts and the contracts that were previously signed. You can't change the past, okay? But you can't penalize the guys that are on now, but that you're going to hire in the future either.
The attorney is telling me to keep my mouth closed.
Okay, well, I'm done, thank you.
Now, let me just say this, I think this is okay. The people who did retire did not get their full complement of days that they had. Okay, they did lose substantial numbers of hours that they had accumulated. Anyone else wish to speak? So there was a cap on how many they could.
Good evening, Rich DiLorenzo, 166 Hillman Drive. Just to piggyback on Councilman Conboy's report, I just wanted to give the council, I know he briefs you, but the public a recap of what is being done at the rec. I am on the rec board, and I'd like to thank all my colleagues for the past year of great decisions and things we've done down at the rec. We've got a new digital sign out there. The director, and with the help of some great volunteers, has started a street hockey, which has, as Mr. Conboy has alluded to, has been a very positive impact down at the rec. I believe we're up to about 60 children of all ages, and it's a fast-growing sport, something to keep the kids involved in during the winter. We've also increased the recreation hours, which has been a very good, positive, very good impact on the town. Kids have to have a place to go, especially on holiday weekends and on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, so we've increased the hours. To allude to Mr. Conti's question about English Avenue, I know we have a big project. We're looking at selling that property, part of that property off, and using the funds to enhance that park in a very positive fashion, grade it out, level it out, create a very good soccer field, and enhance the existing baseball field, and maybe reorient it a little bit, and possibly add another smaller field with possibly, and again, it all depends on funds and what the engineer says, maybe a restroom. That would be a big help to that area and bring it back to life, so to speak. We've enhanced it quite a bit with what we've what we've had in the rec commission, or the rec trust over the years. But I'm excited to say that very good positives going down to the rec department. I know the council's been made aware of from Mr. Conboy that we've made some strides, and I'd like to thank my colleagues, Mr. Cullen and Wally Noselecki and myself for meeting with the Board of Education. We had a meeting on January 5th to discuss open dialogue on how we can work together, back together, the way it used to be. As we had mentioned to them in letters and correspondence back and forth, the Board of Education, the town, those are the town facilities. The town people are entitled to use those facilities. They pay their hard-earned taxes. And there's no reason why the residents should be charged for gym time or field time if it's available. So we have a very good positive open dialogue with the Board of Education again, and hopefully that will continue down the road. One last thing, I would like to congratulate and thank Mrs. Tiberzi, who's in the audience today. She's resigned from her council position with family issues at home. I know she's helping out with her granddaughters and twins, but I'd like to publicly thank her for all her past service. She was a great person to work with on the board. She took on many occasions the secretary's role, and she was a very good inspiration to the rest of the colleagues, and I publicly want to thank her for all she's done, and good luck, council. Thank you.
Thank you. Seated all the way in the back, and I can just about make her out, but we have this Berger here. Will you please stand, Karen, former council? Many of you, hopefully, do not remember seeing her, but Mr. Berger, how many years were you on the ambulance corps, Karen?
Well, I was active 32 years.
32 years on the ambulance corps. That's why I prefaced what I said about sometimes you don't want to see her because you're in need of an ambulance, and she came in and helped you out and maybe put you in the ambulance. But she has been a very, very dedicated individual in Elmwood Park with the ambulance corps all those years, the councilwoman and the Board of Recreation. So, Karen, thank you, enjoy, and you're going to get involved again. Well, you're going to get Steve to get involved. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? If not, I have a motion to close the meeting. Yes. Your name and address, please, when you get to the microphone.
My name is Jeff Marston. I live at 41 Elizabeth. A couple of things I'd like to mention. If we keep our police force at 33 people, aren't we at risk of losing state funds?
There is a document coming up. You have to have 34 men.
Do we plan to keep it at
If you
34?
yes, if you have 34 men, you can receive a certain monies from the federal government.
Are we going to increase the department?
We have to discuss all that.
Okay. As far as merging the police departments, having the county come in?
That's not merging, that's takeover.
Right. Over the past couple of years, hasn't there been conflict between the Bergen County Police Chief and our retiring chief?
Not the county police chief, no, not that I know of.
From
Oh, yes, you're right.
There's been quite a few conflicts
out here. Yeah.
where they've been up in front of Pathline.
Yeah, it was a couple of times.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
police, the county cops decided to park right outside our police department at one time.
Yeah, they gave somebody here a ticket to go to the borough. Yeah.
Now, y'all think it's wise to get in the conversation with them right now, considering all these past things that have been going on?
Well, that'll all take place when we
Versus, you know,
finally meet with them.
hiring new officers.
Listen, they may be out of existence by the time we meet with them.
I don't know about that.
Well, I just mentioned, if you were paying attention, and I don't mean
I was
that
paying
sarcastically, there's a $600,000 report made out of confiscated funds to determine whether they should keep the county police or have them abandoned and go to the county sheriff. And that's what the report says, I'm told. And that has to be resolved before anything else. I mean, we're going to get involved with the county police and the freehold say they're going out of existence, so do we?
Well, I would like to pose my opposition to any combination of that. We should keep our own force here in town.
Okay. By the way, the only two areas that they have county police are Teterboro, they don't have a police force, and Rockland, they don't have a police force.
Those are also the smallest towns in the county.
Yeah.
You know? And besides, most of Teterboro is an airport. And they got what? How many houses? 100 houses?
They
10
have
houses?
22 houses.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody who lives in those houses, either a councilman, a clerk, or...
Right, so as far as
Well done, well.
as far as their decision to do that, that might have been wise at that time. See what I'm
Well, if
saying?
you don't have a police force, they were involved with Little Ferry and Astor County.
And as far as I know, Rockley has a county school to begin with. They're up there anyway.
There is a school up there, yes.
Right. My next question is about the parks. I live across the street from Rosemont Park.
Yes.
And for months, I've been calling about the quality of the stuff that's there right now. For example, the swing set is like hanging by one bar. The platform for the jungle gym that was put there about, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago is now broken.
Not too long ago, right?
Some small things.
If you're looking at the park, on the right-hand side of the park, there's now a new stand thing. I'm talking about the platform, the slides that were put in about 18 years ago.
Check that out.
Okay, because I've called many times about that.
Okay, it's the first time I'm hearing.
And when they did put in the new stuff there, there was a point where they dug up the ground and nobody did anything, they just left it like that.
We'll see.
And my last point is, as far as the parks and what time they close, I know many years ago there was a law put in place where they close at 9 o'clock. Over this past recent year, the signs have been at the park basically closed at dusk,
Yes.
and they've been changed till 9 now.
What sign is that? Maybe it's the old sign, it didn't change?
No, the new sign says closes at 9 p.m. The old sign said closed at dark.
Where is that sign?
I believe, looking at the middle of the park on Columbia, there's a big sign there right now. It was installed this past year.
We'll double check that. Mr. Casmark, would you, we'll double check that. We haven't passed anything saying that they can stay on any later or any on the road.
Well, no, I called the Recs department and pretty much asked that question this past year, and they told me the law was put into place, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago?
1969,
Yeah, something like that.
the hours were approved that the parks would be closed, all borough parks would be closed 9 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Right. It's this past year that
If you
sign's
ask
been
any more
changed.
questions, he'll check and he'll tell you what time you went to bed last night.
It's this past year the sign's been changed from dusk till 9 p.m., which a majority of the year there are now children out there
No, dusk.
playing basketball.
I interrupted.
Yes,
Dusk means when you have daylight savings time or regular time, it's when the sun goes down and it's dark out, you can't go there. If we say 9 o'clock now, it's gonna be 4 hours of darkness there, so obviously we wouldn't want that. But we'll check
That's
it
my
out.
point.
Yeah.
This past year it's been changed that, and
No, we
then,
haven't changed it.
well, no, the signs have been changed.
That may be true, and I don't know
Yeah.
why.
And now when I call the police department and say there are kids playing basketball, yelling and screaming
Yeah.
at 8:30 at night when my daughter's trying to sleep, they say they can't do anything because it's 9 o'clock it closes.
Which park is that?
Rosemont, that's up by me, it's around the corner from my house.
We would need to amend the ordinance to modify the hours. I don't know what the signs say, I can have DPW go out there and report that back to me tomorrow, or I can take a look on my way in. But as the ordinance stands now, the park is closed from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Which leaves the police after dusk,
No, I
you
think it
know.
was changed to sunset. That ordinance was changed to sunset.
Well,
This is how the ordinance book reads, this is the current version.
I could swear it was changed to sunset.
Okay, well, double check, thank you.
because as of right now, the police can't do anything out there where they used to.
Well, that's understandable, because that's not.
Good point,
All right?
good point.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be here? If not, before I close the motion, call for a motion to close the meeting. Anybody out there playing basketball in this cold weather at 9 o'clock at night, well, you gotta give them some credit. I had no idea.
they do.
It's amazing. It's amazing. May I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved, second.
Mr. Conway, Mr. Castiglia, any discussion, all in favor? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and before you close, let me just indicate that if you want to, if you have to turn your cable on, and you don't know the days, Tuesday, 12 noon, Thursday, 4 p.m., Friday, 11 a.m. Tuesday, 12 noon, Thursday, 4 p.m., Friday, 11 a.m. That's on channel, cable channel 77. Right, cable channel 77. Thank you very much, and those in attendance, thank you very much.